This is section 3.3 where we are solving multi-step equations. And actually there is no new vocabulary in this section. Your procedure for multi-step equations, the first thing you have to do, if possible, is to use the distributive property. Then, if you have like terms, you have to combine your like terms, and then you can proceed as usual with your reverse PEMDAS, or your reverse order of operations. Okay, so our first example, we have 3x minus 6 plus x equals negative 18. Notice my 3x and x are like terms, so I have to combine them. 3x plus x is 4x. Minus 6 equals negative 18. And now I do what I normally would do. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. 4x equals negative 18 plus 6 is going to be negative 12. Divide both sides by 4. And x is negative 3. Remember, we can always check our answer, so let's plug it back in. 3 times negative 3 minus 6 plus a negative 3 equals negative 18. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9 minus 6 plus a negative is just minus 3. Negative 9 minus 6 minus 3 is negative 18. So we know we did it right. Another example for you. Notice this time, before we can combine any like terms, we have to distribute. So I'm not ready to deal with the 7x yet, so I'm going to bring that down. And now I'm ready to distribute. So 2 times x gives me 2x, and 2 times 6 is 12. Equals 39. Now I want to combine like terms. 7x and 2x is 9x. Plus 12 equals 39. Now my usual. So I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. I get 9x equals 27. Divide both sides by 9. And x equals 3. But again, just to make sure, we're going to plug our answer back in. So we have 7 times 3 plus 2 times 3 plus 6 equals 39. Well, 7 times 3, that's 21. 3 plus 6 is 9 times 2 is 18. 21 plus 18 is 39. So we know we did it right. Now we have sort of a special case. If you go to distribute and you see a fraction, there's actually a choice that you need to make. So you're either going to distribute as normal, or you're going to multiply by the reciprocal first. So the case where we're going to distribute is where the numbers inside the parentheses are divisible by the denominator of the fraction. So notice 4y, 4 is divisible by 2, and 2 is divisible by 2. So in that case, distributing would be a good decision. On the other hand, if we have something like this, 2/5 times 9 minus 2b equals negative 14, well, 5 isn't going to go into 9 very nicely, and 5 is not going to go into negative 2 very nicely either. So instead of distributing, in this case, it's going to be easier to go ahead and just multiply by the reciprocal. So remember, 2 over 5, the reciprocal of that is 5 over 2. So let's work through an example. So 1/3 times d plus 3 equals 5. In this case, I have 1/3 times 1d, that's going to be fine. So then I'm just going to look at my second one. 3, well, that certainly is divisible by 3. So in this case, I am going to go ahead and distribute. 1/3 times d, and 1/3 times 3. Remember, we can write that as d over 3, and that just becomes 1 equal to 5. Now we solve like we normally would. So subtract 1 from both sides. D over 3 equals 4. Multiply by 3 on both sides. So D equals 12. But again, just to make sure, I'm going to check my answer. So 1/3 times 12 plus 3 equals 5. 12 plus 3 is 15 times 1/3. Well, 15 divided by 3 is 5. So we know we did it correct. And our last example, we have 3 over 2 times x minus 5 equals negative 6. In this case, 3 over 2 would multiply by x just fine, but 3 over 2 times 5, that's going to be messy. So in this case, it would be a better decision to multiply by the reciprocal. Remember that both will always work, but what I'm talking about is what would be the better decision. So in this case, 3 over 2, the reciprocal of that is going to be 2 over 3. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Multiplying by the reciprocal gets rid of that, so I'm left with x minus 5 on the left. And then I have negative 6 times 2/3. Some of you might know that off the top of your head, but if not, go ahead and write it out. So negative 6 times 2 is negative 12 over 3. Well, negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. Now, to solve for x, I'm just going to add 5 to both sides. Negative 4 plus 5 leaves me with a positive 1. But again, just to make sure, I want to check my answer. So 3 over 2 times 1 minus 5 equals negative 6. 1 minus 5, that's negative 4 times 3 over 2. Again, you might know it off the top of your head, but if not, go ahead and multiply. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12 over 2 equals negative 6. Negative 12 over 2 is negative 6. And that's it.